Yeah, it's your boy Dean Thomas, and we are back again. Fight Court. Joining alongside my man Ryan Quinn. I know we was going a week, but don't worry about it. We are back. That was just a little week, you know what I'm saying? That was Thanksgiving week, but that's all right. I'm back. Ryan back. Ryan, how are you, my man?
Well, you were gone a week. I was gone 2 weeks because I was sick the week before. I was so sick. Yeah, I had 104 fever for 2 days.
Imagine how we feel about you. We sick of you.
Yeah, that must be what it's like. That's why I knew how to get better. I had to make everybody else sick. That's my life dream. And but no, I'm happy to be back. We got a lot to talk about. I got some things that I'm looking forward to throwing at you today.
Well, before we get into something, I just gotta throw this out there, man. My middle finger, I got a middle finger I'm throwing up to the city of Miami. Somehow they gave me a fucking parking violation that was attached to my license for a car that wasn't mine. And it was all the way back from May, and they sent me like a ticket, and I was like, "Yeah, what is this?" And they were like, "This has been sent to collections." I'm like, "You guys sent me a ticket to collections from something in May to a car that ain't mine?" So I'm calling them, I'm emailing them, and you know how it is dealing with government bureaucracies. You can't get a hold of nobody. So like, I was going to just drive down there. So the ticket was like $57. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to pay it because it's just probably easier to pay it than to have this thing lingering over my head trying to chase these people down. So middle finger to the city of Miami. I'm telling everybody, one way or another, I'm getting my $57 back, whether it's I'm beat up a bum on the street and take his money in Miami or something. I got to get my money back from the city of Miami.
So what do you think happened? You think someone just took the ticket and like stuck it on your car? Like how did they give you a ticket for a car that's not yours?
I don't know. I think what happened was the license plate might have looked like mine. Maybe they mistake the B for an 8 or an O for a Q or something, and looked up the license plate and saw my name and was like, all right, it must be his.
That sucks.
Yeah, so I was like, wait a minute.
You know what? It's like, it's $57 too. If it was like $557, they're like, he's gonna fight this. But you know what? People just pay the 57. Let's just
right.
Fuck this up and make him not care. Just fuck it up just enough where he's just gonna pay.
And like I spent like all morning online trying to get a hold of these people, and like it gets you so far, and then it's like, all right, then it like leads you on to like press 1 for this, press 2 for this, and then eventually it's like no more options to speak to a human person. So like you're on there being navigated, pressing options to get to a situation to where you can no longer press options to get to a human person. And I'm like,
brutal.
Yeah, I'm pissed off about that. So Miami, fuck off. Anyway, one thing that makes me feel better about myself is UFC 310 going on this weekend. Mm-hmm. Man, seeing some unprecedented stuff here, and I don't even think people realize it, like how rare this is of a situation to have a guy like Kai Asakura come to the UFC, never have fought in the UFC, to be fighting for a title. And he's coming from Japan where there's never been a UFC champion. So this is such a rare, unprecedented situation that I don't think a lot of people really even recognize.
Nope.
But I'm really excited for this opportunity for him. So I'll get into my points later. What do you got to say about this whole thing?
Well, I love the opportunity for the sport. First of all, I think that, you know what it is too? It's like the UFC really tries their best, and they're doing a much better job. Maybe not so much with the Japanese fighters, but the Asian fighters in general. They're really starting to grow that crop into that market. But you know what? Sometimes it takes a superstar that's out there and just make that splash. Bam. And I think that's what they're doing here. He's going against Pantoja, who, you know, it's going to be a great fight no matter what. Pantoja keeps things spring, you know. He's well-rounded. I'm looking forward to the crowd in the West to get used to him. And it's going to be a great fight. I wish that the UFC would get into it in that aspect. Like, this happens more in boxing, the UFC fans, but like this happens more in boxing where people come over, they get their titles. But I was trying to think of the last time this happened where somebody came over in the modern era, where somebody came over and got a title shot. You know who it is? Go ahead.
I don't know who it is. I was talking to Lorosenko yesterday, and we were kind of under the gun here, and we couldn't even think of the one person who did.
It's Dan Henderson. He came over when they, when they purchased Pride. He fought Rampage on Undisputed, the first Spike pay-per-view, and then he fought Anderson. He lost both fights. That was the last. I mean, then of course you go back to the golden age, and everyone just came in and fought. But yeah, even Bosch Rutten didn't fight for a title off the bat. It was Dan Henderson.
We couldn't think of it, so like I said, we were under the gun, right? We were kind of under pressure. We were just like, we'll just both agree that it never happened before. But now that you told me, I mean, we didn't research it, and we weren't really looking, but like I couldn't think of an opportunity like this. But it's weird that you say what you said about the Asian market, because when I was coming up in the 90s, the late 90s and early 2000s, especially the late 90s, Japan was the spot for lighter fighters. And that was our Super Bowl, to get to fight in Japan, Shudo to be exact.
Yep.
And that's where all the lighter fighters, there was no real Korean scene. China didn't have nothing. Thailand, just kickboxing. So for Japan to finally have somebody to represent them in a title fight is huge. Because they've never done well. Like all the Japanese stars, there were our heroes coming up from like Ruma Sato never even made his way here. Mm-hmm. Kyle Uno had a little stint here, didn't do very well. Max Sakurai got absolutely destroyed. Mishima got destroyed. Like all the Japanese fighters, they were our heroes. Gomi had a little bit of a run, but got destroyed. But so all our heroes that we came up watching just came here and got beat up. So we're getting a guy who has an opportunity. It's not too late in his career. He has an opportunity, but I'm afraid he's got so many uphill battles he's facing with this. And it's great that he's getting this opportunity right off the bat, but it's so many uphill battles for a first opportunity.
Well, name one of them. Name one of them.
Completely different weight class.
yeah, that's one thing that's never good. That's
he's fighting in a lower weight.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big guy. He's tall. He's 5'8", fighting at 125. He's normally 135. He's fighting in a cage instead of a ring.
Huge for those of you who don't.
Yeah. The rule set is different in Rizin, however you say it. They're allowed kneeing the guys on the head on the ground, so you can hit downed opponents without question. And just the whole American crowd.
Yeah, that's another. I was thinking about that too. The pin drop, and that's what makes me think of the Japanese crowd. Is you don't hear anything. It's like watching tennis out there.
Yes, and like all those different things is going to play a major factor on his psyche going into this fight. Now he's kind of a wild fighter anyway, so he's not like this cerebral guy who has to make these very smooth decisions that are slick. So it might not be as much of a factor as I'm giving it credit for, but fighting a guy like Pantoja who's going to force you into making decisions like fast. Like Pantoja is going to come out fast and hard. And it may be with takedowns, it may be with like aggressive punching, but Pantoja, he puts the heat on fast and he makes you make decisions fast. And a more cerebral fighter, if this was Tauta Taita, who's a little bit slicker, I think he'd struggle even harder. But Kaya Sakura, who's kind of a brawler in a way, he might be able to overcome these obstacles and still fight his fight.
Where does Kaya Sakura train? I don't even know.
I looked that up. I looked that up because I saw like some white dudes in this corner. I'm like, man, who are these white dudes? I was like, it must be the manager and the accountant.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't recognize them. But
see that's. I mean, that's concerning. I mean, like adjusting to a cage from a ring is a lot.
circular, not square. So like you're not gonna be able to cut guys off, and
Cage wrestling.
yeah, it's a huge difference. I'm sure he did his work though. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say he did his work. I want to see, like, it's crazy because I want to see him do well because of the whole tradition of Japanese fighters, but at the same time, I also want to see Pantoja do well because he doesn't have to fight this dude.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been like, yo, I'm not fighting some newcomer. Like, yo, bring me somebody who everybody knows. Like, why am I going to put my belt on the line and risk losing my belt to somebody that nobody knows? Pantoja was like, nah, dog, bring him on. I'm going to finish him. So, like, in that aspect, I'm like, yo, Pantoja is the man. Like, he came out and was like,
he really is a good champion. Like, he seems very easy to book.
Easy to book, easy, not very difficult to please. Like, remember there was a time where like Pantoja, like he barely looked like he brushed his hair.
Yeah.
Like he'd be at fights like hair all messy, collars all big on around his neck. And I was like, yo, that's the type of champion I like. Because some of these dudes, they became champion. Like, we love, Charles Oliveira, but man, when Charles Oliveira became champ, man, that man got Gucci down to the socks.
He got real pretty. He got
real pretty.
They said in Rocky, you got domesticated.
Yeah. But Pantoja, like, I haven't really seen that from him yet. Like, he still seemed like he, was still kind of, I don't want to say broke, but you know what? Like, you need that little broke mentality to maintain that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a fight that I'm looking forward to. I don't know if I'm looking forward to that more than the Ian Gary Shavkat fight. What about you?
I'm really looking forward to that fight, but I'm going to cut you off. I've been thinking about asking you this for a minute. I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you know about Aljamain Sterling training for the Evloev fight?
I know a lot about it.
Yeah, so tell us what you can know. Tell us a little bit. Tell us what you know, because I know he's not heavily favored. I don't think it's that out of the wood. I don't think it's out of the question. That he.
No, I have a very hot take and unpopular opinion on this.
All right, I'm gonna give you my take first. So maybe
Go ahead.
Get you off the hook a little bit. I know you're really close to this, but I still want to juice you a little bit. I think if he establishes his jab in this fight, that he's got margin for victory. It's gonna keep him scoring. It's gonna keep him scoring late takedowns to stay safe. And that's what I think. And to establish his jab in this fight, he's gonna need good footwork, which I'm not saying he's had terrible footwork in the past, but it's going to need to be a little bit sharper for this fight. And I think all the things I mentioned, all possible, and I kind of want to see it. But go ahead.
I'll start with this. I remember, like, before me and Aljamain were close. Like, we're pretty close now. So, but before we were close, I remember talking to Matt Serra about Aljamain, and Matt is one of the original American grapplers.
Yeah.
We talk about Gordon Ryan, Mikey Musumeci, who we may talk about later, but Matt Serra was one of the original American grapplers representing the U.S. in Abu Dhabi back in 2004 or 3, maybe even earlier, to maybe even 2002. Anyway, and I remember talking to him about Aljamain, and he said, yo, he is a talented dude. Like, his grappling is just talented. Like, that was the way he described it. And after spending a lot of time with Aljamain, I concur. Like, he's just talented. And coaching him has been a treat because it's not really coaching, it's really brainstorming with him. And I think that's what he needed. Like, he doesn't really, I don't think he responds well with a coach, like, telling him what to do and how to do it. Because he's self-motivated and he'll do it. He just wants options. Like, he just wants to bounce ideas off people and try things. So I've kind of served as a consultant with him on trying different things. Sal, I don't know if you know Sal from old top team from Ilir Latifi.
Yeah.
Sal. So he's also been a part of it. And so, now, a lot of coaches don't like Aljamain's approach because he kind of bounces around. But I think he just, at this point in his career where he's like the tail end of it, like, that's what he needs. in order to like learn a few more tricks to round his game out. And I got to tell you, man, he is really one of the more talented grapplers I've seen in terms of like just falling into positions. And I'm like, yo, what the hell was that? And he's like, oh yeah. So and he can explain it exactly how and why he did it. So with that being said, training him has been like, this talking about positions, breaking positions down, figuring out better ways to do things, figuring out easier ways to do things. And this goes from grappling, striking, all of the above, looking for submissions in better ways, looking how to do more damage in different positions. And I think if he doesn't get caught with like a big punch early and is on, I think we're looking at a masterful performance from him.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And here's my hot take. Because I think Movsar is, he's tough for anybody to beat, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because he out grapples guys. But I think Aljamain can out grapple him. And I think if Aljamain beats Movsar, I think he can beat Ilia Topuria. I think he really has the style to be. That's a hot take, but I really do believe he has the style to beat Ilia Topuria.
Well, he's so strong, and people don't really look at his strength when they're. You can just tell he's strong if you really.
He's a gorilla, man.
And because he's so strong, you could defend these takedowns, and then when you get these takedowns, you could defend the grappling in awkward positions that these grapplers aren't used to, and you can get up and make him really tired. So, I think it's a good matchup against Ilia, all things considered.
Yeah, I think Aljamain is stronger, longer. He's got great feet, and he's not the type that's going to be willing to take one to give one.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. He's never going to allow Ilia like a clean shot.
Right.
Like Ilia's going to have to work to hit him. So, I like his chances. Like especially if he gets it to the ground. Like Aljamain is so crafty on the ground. He's so strong and he's so crafty on the ground that I like his chances. And maybe I'm just biased, but I really do like his chances. And I mean, when Merab says, yeah, man, Aljamain has been kicking his ass, he has. But it's not new though, right? Like he's always been able to do that to Merab,
Mm-hmm.
And when people are like, oh, they need to fight. Honestly, I think Aljamain's better than Merab. He's a better fighter than Merab. People may not realize that because Merab, he's goes out there and he's dominates. Merab's a different type of personality, so he can fight well. But in Aljamain, he gets a little nervous at times. So, but like I said, I think if he can stay loose, I think we're looking at a masterful performance from Aljamain.
Can't wait. See,
one that should be on the goddamn.
I was just about to say, can't wait. It's going to be a great prelim card. This is probably this is going to be the greatest preliminary fight of all time. Actually, that's my hot take. This is the greatest undisputed preliminary fight on a card ever.
Ain't it? I'm like, yo, I didn't understand I really don't understand the placement of that. I could see if it was like, all right, we're going to put it as the prelim headliner to get guys to watch the fight. But like, if you were going to put any fight on the entire card as the fight to get people to watch the pay-per-view,
just ain't that fight.
You would put Nate Landwehr and Duho Choi there.
Yeah,
they put them first on the main card, which is cool. But I'm putting, Aljamain Sterling and Movsar should be on the main card.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. It makes me wonder if not getting Aljo tickets to the UFC a few months ago was an accident or not. You know what I'm saying?
Remember that he was like standing outside, and then I'm like, and then he like leaves, and he like left and watched the bar.
He's gonna get to the door. They're gonna ask him where his ticket is on fucking Saturday. I'm fighting. I don't know.
I don't know. Get somebody to verify who you are. What other fights on the card are interesting to you?
Yeah, co-main event: Ian Gary and Shavkat Rakhmonov. I'm really looking forward to that one. Someone's always got to go. I don't see I do see a path to victory for Ian, but I don't see it happening.
So you got to explain this to me because he's like a 3-1 underdog. And I actually see the path to victory, and I'm like, I can see him doing it. So I need you to explain this to me because I don't see what you're seeing.
Okay, so Shavkat is so, and actually, you said it during one of your takes when he fought Jeff Neal, how good he is at fighting in a telephone booth for being such a long guy, and that is so difficult against somebody like Ian, who the only way I could see Ian beating him is if he keeps him in front of him and just launches front kicks, launches 1-2s and 2-1s, and then just moves around and then gets in front of him again. And with somebody like Shavkat, I mean, he's 18-0 or 17-0 with all finishes, right?
Yeah.
So he's making adjustments. He's making adjustments as the fight goes to how to finish you. And if your game plan is to stand in front of somebody like that, you're gonna get hurt. And I think that his grappling is really good too. I could see Ian winning the first round, but I can't see him doing that for 15 minutes. I can't see him completing the fight with that game plan.
I mean, that makes sense. You're right. There's a way where like Ian could win the first round and look good doing it, and then just as the fight wears on, he gets figured out, right? There's a possibility for that he gets figured out. So I can see that. I can see that. But like, I think I saw today where Shavkat was a minus 375. I was like, I'm not a gambling man.
That's a lot. That's why I don't get into gambling either. That's fucking crazy.
I was like, who in the hell has him at that odd? Like because honestly, I thought it would be much closer, like almost maybe even a pick 'em.
Yeah, well, you know what? Sometimes it happens. I ask my friends who do gamble on this shit, and they're like, especially in an event like this, there's a lot of cards where a lot of people are staying away from the fights, like because there's a lot of pick'ems. They'll make that margin real far out, like early in the week, to see if they can get people to throw money at it. Oh, dude, I'll put $50 on Ian. There's no way. I mean, if he wins, I'm gonna win 3. And then they close it up closer to fight night. No, there was another one that was nuts too. I felt the Anthony Smith the odds in that fight were a little off too. I thought
what are those odds?
It was crazy, man. I think I saw someone said as high as 600 or 625. Like,
for Dominic Reyes?
Yeah, it was something crazy. Yeah. It was something crazy.
Well, here's the thing. I actually did a little work with Anthony too. He spent some time. He came down here a few times, and I worked with him a little bit in Vegas. And it's not much of a secret that his head hasn't really been in fighting the last couple of years. Like we've seen him just kind of show up, take fights, show up, and just be like, whatever. And I was even concerned about this fight early on in camp, but a couple of weeks ago, his jiu-jitsu coach passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's hard.
His jiu-jitsu coach passed away, and since then, I've seen a different Anthony. So, to me, that says a lot, right? To me, it's kind of there's a new motivation for him, and there's reason for him to want to fight as opposed to just kind of going through the motions like I think he has in his last couple of fights. So, we worked on some technical stuff. And I think he appreciated that because I don't think he was getting the technical stuff that he wanted for fights. He was because he was in a big room of guys. He was training with the team and he was doing the team stuff.
Yeah.
So, I offered to look at some of his fights and show him what I thought he could use. And he's got some concepts now that I think he can employ in the game. So who knows, man? I think it should be closer to like 600.
It was something nuts. And if I'm wrong, I'll put it in the comments. But it was.
But I get it. But I get it. I get why Dominic Reyes is such a heavy favorite. Dominic looks to be, after his fight against Dustin Jacoby, he was hot. He was hot after that. So we'll see what happens with that. Any other thing on 310?
How do you have Ian winning that fight? I
just thought that he would be able to establish himself like in a third gear pace and just be able to maintain that cat and mouse game the whole fight.
Right. Yeah.
Just maintain a cat and mouse game, not get forced into any wild brawls, defend himself on the fence, then keep creating. It won't be pretty.
Yep.
Like, I don't see it being pretty. I just think that at this point in Ian Garry's career, with his confidence and his ability to perform under high pressure situations, which I think is an underrated skill set. I think he's able to maintain his composure, maintain his strategy, and just play cat and mouse all night long without, and you might have convinced me, but without Shavkat being able to catch him, right? Being able to make the adjustment and catch him. Like, Shavkat might get frustrated, or, under these circumstances, like, knowing what's at stake. I mean, think about it. Like, Shavkat, like, he passed up a title fight for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
He might at some point, like, if he's not having his way, start getting a little frustrated. The crowd might start getting restless, and he might start making mistakes because he's starting to get a bit hasty to make things happen. So there's, for me, a way in which Ian Garry can exploit that just by maintaining his composure and playing cat and mouse.
And he does, to your credit. Like, as much as you say about Ian Garry, people, he's in the fight when he's in there. So
no, but the biggest thing I think with the whole Ian Garry and Shavkat fight is I think we missed out on a really good opportunity in Tampa, because I was really looking forward to seeing the Cuck versus Buck, and we're not going to get that now. We're not going to get that.
Yeah, I wanted to see that too.
Yeah, we're not going to get that.
But I mean, those are the main points that I was looking at in the card. What else is on that card? It's a good card. What else is on the card?
I alluded to it a little earlier. Nate Landwehr and Doo-Ho Choi. That's a massive and a wildly entertaining fight.
Yeah,
that's going to be great. We talked about.
He's excited.
What's that?
Nate.
He's fantastic. He's a great personality for MMA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun for MMA. In fact, like, I think if he could get more fights, more time, that he would really have a bigger fan base. He just, it's just hard to get, guys to fight 4 times a year, and that's kind of what he needs.
And they always put him on these like off cards, like they're putting him in London and just like cards that people are not really into. So this is a good opportunity for him where he's finally going to get that shine that he deserves.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I spoke to him on Sirius XM a couple weeks ago, and he always has these sayings, and they're not like super clever, but they're really. But he says them with such conviction that it makes a lot of sense. He says, "Man, if I don't lose, I'm probably going to win."
It's like, yo, you and
and like that was his quote, and I was like, all right, man, let's stick with that.
Yeah. It ain't over till it's over.
Yeah. So, but shifting gears, and I know we know this young man. Well, at least I do from here in Florida. I remember when he was just a jet training at Sharks place, and he used to. I remember he was at maybe at the main academy as well. But Mikey Musumeci. Did you remember him from Top Team in the Gym? Have you ever been around? Was you around when he was around?
At the beginning, when the end of when Shark was really bringing people over, that's when I moved out. Okay. So if we were in the room, it was in passing. I don't remember him.
I remember him.
I'm a real fan of that kid.
Yeah, I remember him being in the room. He had a sister, and she was a badass. His mother used to drop them off, or she'd drive them and sit in the corner and watch them train, and they would be beating up adults, and they were like 12. He was like 12 years old. She's a little older, like 14, and they were just absolutely badasses. So it's so prideful to watch him excel the ways he's excelling.
Mm-hmm.
And for the UFC to be putting money behind him the way they're putting money behind him is wild to me. It's crazy to me to think, if you go on UFC's page now, UFC Fight Pass's page now, he's all over it. Like they got him doing interviews, they got him doing all kind of stuff with Nina drama. Like he's getting the biggest push I've seen from an athlete in a while.
It's awesome. I mean, and I've been a fan of him for a while, for a couple of years. Like I watch his fights and then I try to drill the techniques, obviously the ankle locks, and he's a lot of fun to watch. For those of you watching this for MMA and hearing this, tune in to UFC Fight Pass Invitational on Thursday. He's fun. It shows the evolution of grappling and why everyone should be watching it now.
But he's, the one thing I like about him is he always says this, is that, he never, like he's a strong kid. Like he's built like Bruce Lee. Like he take his shirt off, he's built like Bruce Lee. But he always talks about just making adjustments to his technique. Like never thinking, oh, if I was just a little bit stronger, I would have been able to pull that off. Mm-hmm. For him, it's always an adjustment to the technique, which is why he's so good, because I think that's where a lot of people fail. People fail by saying, oh, well, he's a little bit bigger or you got to be a little stronger. But for him, it's how can I adjust my technique to make this move work? And I think that's why he's had so much success, is that's his default setting.
Have you ever drilled how he does leg locks and ankle locks?
I have not.
Dude, it's a game changer. It's a life changer. If you can, it's like do you remember Devin Moultrie?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I train with him at least once a week now. And we were screwing around with like leg entanglements and the Mikey Musumeci stuff. Like it's not even 50-50. It's even scary to drill. Like it's like 99 to 1. You're gonna get your ankle snapped, your knee shredded. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's just everyone watch. It's good shit.
Well, so he was on the weigh-in show with us a couple weeks ago for in New York, and when he showed up with his little friend, and they're watching our segment of the weigh-in show, and they're not sitting in chairs, they're squatting down like toddlers. You know when toddlers sit down and play with like blocks, and they're doing their little like monkeys. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, they're sitting like that. I'm like, yo, that's comfortable to them. Like they like, me, I'm laying on the floor. Like if I don't have no chair, I'm laying on the floor. Mm-hmm. Like they were squatting, watching the show, comfortable. I was like, these dudes, man, like they're just, I mean, I don't think they have like, they're just all joints. Like they have no bone. They're just all like rubber on the inside, just flexible rubber on the inside. That's what it takes to be good at jiu-jitsu, not strength, but the ability to move in any direction with any of your limbs at any given time. And he has that. And I'm looking forward to seeing him compete. And I'm so happy that the UFC's put money behind him and, expanding the Brazilian jiu-jitsu realm of the combat sports.
Yep. Agreed.
One last thing, Ryan. Dakota Ditcheva. Is she a star or is she not?
She's growing into a star. She looks real smooth. Her striking is crisp. I like how she uses the angles in the cage to set up things. Still young. We'll see how the PFL handles her. As they need to put a lot more shine on her. Okay, yeah, you know what? She is a star. The world shouldn't be knowing who she is right now. They should have known who she was months ago. And I feel that Don Davis was so bitter over Kayla that he took a lot of shine away from the stars that he has on his roster. Case in point, Dakota Ditcheva. And I think that she has a very bright future, and we'll see what happens over the next couple of years.
Here's my thing. I think she has all the star qualities. I just don't think the PFL is in a position to create any stars. When your number one star, Francis Ngannou, only does 10,000 pay-per-view buys in the States, there's no way she can, that's your star and he's doing that. I just don't think the PFL in itself is in a position to create stars, but I do think they have the potential to make her a star. The one thing they need to do, me and Alan Joban, I'm going to credit Alan Joban for this, and that is to put Dakota on a boxing card with Jake Paul.
Okay, yeah. That's what the Jake Paul cards are. Is just put the stars underneath.
Put her on a boxing card with Jake Paul right before a Katie Taylor fight or a Amanda Serrano fight. Mm-hmm. Give her like 3 of those and then bring her back to the PFL.
You know what I think it is, and I don't mean this in a sense to like go back to criticizing PFL like I have in the past, but like if you remember the World Championships last year compared to this year, there was a real buzz and a real excitement behind the PFL World Championships. Actually, the last 2022, 2023, people really excited about the PFL World Championships. This year, I didn't feel the same buzz. I don't know about you. Is that just me, or did you feel that there was a lot more momentum the 2 previous years than there was this year?
Dude, let me tell you something. They awarded $6 million contracts. Mm-hmm. Dakota's the only one I know.
Yeah. All right. So, no, love name the 45 pounder or the 55 pounder.
Yeah. No name.
I don't know what he is, but anyway, no, I know him. He's pretty good. Yeah, they're okay. They're good. But anyway, that's not what I meant. That came out wrong. But the thing is, here's what I think. I think that we were behind the product of PFL. There's this season. It's kind of a tournament with the playoffs. We were behind the product. It was mixed martial arts, but it was different. The last year, PFL got so caught up in building the stars and Francis Ngannou, trying to shit on Kayla. So we're focusing on stars now. So now they're caught up in the UFC game with PFL focusing on stars. So they're going to get lost in the mix. They didn't stick to their product of the league, the championship, the playoffs, and then things fizzled. That's what I think happened.
Well, according to Pete Murray, one of their spokesmen, maybe whatever he is, they're planning to have about 50 shows in 2026. And they're increasing the amount of shows next year. So that's a good thing. Let's see how they handle the situation. But, giving away as much prize money as they're doing, I can't wait to see how they pull this off. Yeah, I got to see how they pull this off. So Ryan, it's been real, my friend, my brother. We shall do it again next week. We appreciate everybody for listening, for joining, for watching. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, comment, whatever it is that you got to do in order to show some love. And on that note, this court is adjourned.